Hey YouTube, Jay Kula. I just wanted to do a review of the Shark Rotator Professional Liftaway. Let me go over some features of the vacuum. You can easily lift this latch here and take off the dust cup. It's a big dust cup. You release this latch and it's going to open up the bottom part so you can get out the dirt and the dust that you collect when vacuuming. You open this one and it opens up the top. And there's like a mesh screen in here that you should also make sure you maintain. You could just wipe it out with your hand or whatever. As you can see, this one is well used after a year and a half of use. While I have the dust cup off, I'll just show you the filter, which is pretty dirty at this moment. I have cleaned it before, but it definitely gets dirty. I do vacuum about once a day. Here is the internal filter here. Before these two filters, you have this spongy filter and this softer one, and these both are before the HEPA filter, which is kind of like the main large filter. This vacuum is 100% sealed, so there are gaskets everywhere to make sure that you're not blowing dust throughout your house. That's one of their selling points at Shark. So you just click that back in. In here is the HEPA filter. Okay, it doesn't need to be changed that often. You should always make sure and check it for dust and dirt and debris. So that just goes off there. There we go. Put that back on. Now, another thing that's great about this vacuum is that there's lots of points where you can check for potential problems like clogs. You can take the wand off, which is a great wand. It's got a pretty long tube. My only thing that I would say about it is when you're vacuuming and you're standing up, it kind of needs to be a little bit longer. You can get an attachment called a back saver, but obviously you have to pay more money for it. So anyway, back to being able to check for clogs. You could check in here. You could check in here. You could take this part off. And you could check in there. There's lots of access inside the vacuum to check for possible obstructions, which is important. Now, like I said, this vacuum is probably pretty dirty, but there is another spot under here too. You could check for a clog if you had it. There is plenty of hair and everything caught on this. It really needs to be maintained, but like I said, I vacuum about once a day, and so this stuff accumulates, and if you don't take care of it, it becomes a problem, but for right now, it is not. Let's go through some of the attachments here that could go onto the wand. I'll just take this part out, and while I have this off, you can see there's an adjustment for the suction right here. You could adjust how much suction the vacuum has by opening up these little slots. Now, why is that good? Let's say you're doing like a mat, a doormat by a doormat, and it's made out of rubber on the bottom. So if you have full suction, you're not going to be able to move the vacuum over it. The mat's going to suck up into the vacuum. You're not going to be able to vacuum it. So you can dial down the suction a bit and still be able to take care of it. About the attachments. So I have this one here, and these are the attachments that came with my model that I got. There's different setups that you can get. So this is cool because it extends out. It's like this wand piece, this wand attachment. It extends out, which is nice. And it really does clip into place nicely. It feels like it's made pretty well, and that's one of the things that I do like about this vacuum. At the price point, it does seem like it's made pretty well. You have a brush for maybe doing on top of fans, stuff like that, but one of the cool things is that you take that off, and then you have this material that you could get pet hair off a couch, something like that. Alright. It did come with a turbo brush. I don't have steps, so I don't really use the turbo brush. You can use it on like furniture, stuff like that. However, I haven't found it that useful myself. I usually just go with the wand attachment. I usually go with the wand, or I take this off and I use this and then use the pet brush under here to get hair off couch, stuff like that. But I could imagine that the turbo brush is effective on steps, stuff like that. But it does run by the suction of the vacuum. It doesn't have a motor in it. It doesn't have a motor like this brush. This brush is rotated by a motor, where the turbo brush is rotated. There's like a turbine inside, so there's fins that catch the air, and it spins really fast. It's pretty loud. And why I'm talking about the noise of the turbo brush, it's a good time to mention that this vacuum is relatively quiet. It's pretty surprising for the power that it has, but it is relatively quiet. I had a Shark. It was a lower end model, and it worked so well, but it was super loud, and the filter would get clogged all the time, and you'd lose suction. This thing's a beast. It never loses suction. You could fill up, on the infomercial, you can see they fill up the whole dust cup, and it will never lose suction. The technology is great. It definitely lives up to its name. I would buy this vacuum over and over again. I love it. One of the reasons why I wanted to do this review is because recently I saw a Dyson ad, and they feature this vacuum on the Dyson ad. It was a commercial on the television. And I'm thinking to myself, is this vacuum that much of a threat that Dyson needs to include it in its commercial? And we're talking about a Dyson vacuum is going to run from $300 up to like $600. And they're comparing it to this $200 vacuum. I mean, it's like almost unreal to me. But they are doing it, so that means that this vacuum is a true threat. And I don't really know how much market share that Shark gets of the vacuum industry, but obviously Dyson must be scared because they keep putting this vacuum in their commercials. I mean, it's pretty funny. A cool feature for the cord management, which is something you don't really think about, but it is really important. They included this little clip back here to hold the cord up when you're vacuuming, which is great. I mean, you could always hold it in your hand, but sometimes if you're holding it in your hand and you get some slack, it goes on the floor. So this is a really great feature. And basically, it keeps the cord off the floor, which is really nice. One negative thing about it is if you have this there, or the vacuum, the cord of the vacuum is wrapped up, you cannot take off the wand. You can't take the wand out. So if you have the cord wrapped up for storage and you're like, I need to get a mess on the floor quick, let me pull out the wand only, I don't need this part of the vacuum, well, what happens is it won't let you take it out. So you have to take the cord off. Not that much of a problem, but sometimes you're sitting there like, wait a second, why is it the wand coming out? I don't get it. And you're like, oh, duh, the cord is wrapped up. Good feature on the cord, why I'm talking about it, is, gotta watch the camera, is that you could just flip this down and take all the cord off. That's nice. So you don't have to sit there and unravel it, which can be annoying sometimes. Now, why is this vacuum the Liftaway? Well, we have different buttons up here. We have the Liftaway, the wand. We talked about that. It releases from here. We have to turn on the brush motor and the power. When you hit the Liftaway button, what's going to happen is the entire vacuum, the entire top part of the vacuum with the motor and everything in it and the dust cup is going to lift off the power brush. And so you can just set this aside. That was easy. It doesn't take a lot of force. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, what happens when you do that is you can release the wand, and you can really get to high places if you need to, okay? Which is wonderful. You can use the attachments. You can also put a floor attachment on, which I don't have with me right now, and you can take care of hardwood floors, which is really nice. Or if you want to go vacuum your car or something like that, you don't want to drag this around all over the place outside. It goes right back on, it clicks right back on, and that's that. Before I talked about the cord and that if it's in storage and you have it wrapped up, you can't take the wand off. But one of the things that I didn't mention is that you can always hit this button over here for the handle release, and the handle pops right off. But like I said, you won't have the wand. So in order to use the wand, you need to take the cord off. There is a nice feature on the back that manages the corrugated tubing here. There's like a clip. And what you do is you just push it, and it just grabs that tubing on the back and holds it in place, which is a nice feature. I hope you enjoyed my review of the Shark Rotator Liftaway Professional Vacuum. My final impression is that I really love this vacuum. I use it all the time. I've had it for a year and a half. I've never had a problem with it, never had a clog. So it's definitely, in my book, a wonderful vacuum. If you have the money to buy a Dyson or a Kirby or something like that, be my guest. I'm kind of on a budget, so this is my vacuum, and it is amazing. So